What does Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez think about the situation in Israel? Take a look at this clip over here where she's asked a bunch of questions regarding Israel and the occupation and different terms that are used, two-state solution, and she gives some very non-committal, uninformed sorts of responses. So take a look at this clip. We'll watch it together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
You have not really needed so far to take many foreign policy positions because you were seating a Democratic incumbent. But now you are very likely going to be going to Washington, and you'll have to sort of build out some of those foreign policy positions. You, in the campaign, made one tweet or made one statement that referred to a killing by Israeli soldiers of civilians in Gaza. And called it a massacre, which became a little bit controversial. But I haven't seen anywhere. What is your position on Israel?
Well, I believe absolutely in Israel's right to exist. I am a proponent of a two-state solution. And for me, this is not a referendum, I think, on the state of Israel. For me, the lens through which I saw this incident as an activist, as an organizer, if 60 people were killed in Ferguson, Missouri, if 60 people were killed in the South Bronx, unarmed, 60 people were killed in Puerto Rico, I just looked at that incident more through just as an incident. And to me, it would just be completely unacceptable if that happened on our shores. But
of course, the dynamic there in terms of geopolitics and the war in the Middle East is very different than people expressing their First Amendment right to protest.
Well, yes, but I also think that what people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine, is just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition. And that to me is just where I tend to come from on this issue.
You use the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that? I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes. Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue. You know, for me, I'm a firm believer in finding a two-state solution in this issue, and I'm happy to sit down with leaders on both of these. For me, I just look at things through a human rights lens, and I may not use the right words.
She doesn't really have to tell us that she's not the expert. We can tell by the words that she says, and unfortunately, these days that doesn't stop anybody from saying their piece. You could have no historical understanding of a given situation, no geopolitical understanding of a situation, but yet you'll throw out your platitudes and your ideas and your pie-in-the-sky worldview and project it onto any situation in the world, because that is the way that our politics unfortunately works right now. This is an older clip, but I would venture to say that her answers would look more or less the same if asked about these matters today. In the far left mindset, the idea is that Israel is the oppressor throughout all of time. The reason that Israel is the oppressor is because Israel is successful. Because from the far left Marxist view of the world, there are only two types of people in the world. There are oppressors and there are the oppressed. And if you are successful, you are deemed, you got that way through oppression. And if you are unsuccessful, then the only reason that has occurred is because you have been oppressed. And so Israel, which is successful, is the oppressor in this worldview. And the Palestinian side, doesn't matter, they elected Hamas, doesn't matter any of the details. The devil's always in the details. Doesn't matter the details that formed their unsuccess. They are seen as the oppressed. And so the siding is always going to be on the side of the Palestinians. Unfortunately, now as well, it's very much in vogue to be anti-Israel. It doesn't matter what the historical or geopolitical background would be. anyway. It's in vogue, it's popular, especially on the far left, to be against Israel. And so I imagine that any question that would be presented nowadays as well would either be not answered because of not knowing, or wouldn't be answered because you wouldn't want to incriminate yourself and say any sort of endorsement of Israel when it's not particularly popular, especially on that side of the aisle, to be for Israel. There's a reason that people like Zoran Mamdani are gaining votes, are gaining popularity in New York City. It's not in spite of his more radical views. It's because of his more radical views. And this is an ideology that needs to be stopped dead in its tracks at the voting booth. And hopefully we see that happen in various elections that are coming up. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there on the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.